We all know that the market is scorching hot. I've heard several times that people are having such hard time getting their buyers under contract, let alone their low down payment, their FHA and VA buyers. Today, I'm going to tell you about my secret sauce to getting those clients under contract and happily into a home and on their journey to financial freedom. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, Jeremy Kane, Realtor Playbook here, helping you win every single day at the game of real estate. Please subscribe, like, throw me a comment. Would love to start the conversation with you. And if you would like a one-on-one personal call with me to discuss how we can build your business on your terms, I would love to have that call and help you start winning today at the game of real estate. Book a call in the link below. Let's jump in. All right, for some reason, there's a stigma against these FHA, VA, USDA buyers. Part of the problem is that they're government backed, so there are some conditional things that need to be done to the homes that they purchase. However, they're not life changing. A little chipping paint here, some gutter extensions here, window well covers here to qualify for that type of loan is pretty simple. Myself as a buyer's agent, I have gone over to the property, put some gutter extensions on, touched up a little paint if needed on the exterior, of course with the listing agent's permission. But this is absolutely the end of the difference between FHA and VA versus conventional. And so today, let's talk about getting them under contract, because that is really half the battle. I've had conversations with listing agents that say, oh, it's FHA or VA and that's why you didn't win. That's silly. At the end of the day, money is money. So we need to help portray that information and paint a picture of our clients to the listing agent. Here's what I do. First and foremost, and something that some people don't think about, is aligning with the right partners. You need to have a top-notch lender that's willing to take off the gloves and do whatever they can to get your buyer under contract. And some lenders are a little bit more willing to do this than others, but challenge them and make them understand that you're in this together. And if you're willing to do the work and show multiple properties, maybe make multiple offers for one client, they should be too in order to earn your business. So challenge them and make sure that they're top notch, ready to go, and that when they're having those conversations with listing agents, that they are representing the buyer in the best possible way, painting that picture, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Next, you need a great inspector. Obviously, inspectors are a little bit different story. They can point out the little things that might come up FHA, VA, so that you're ahead of that before the appraisal, because if the appraiser comes out and you have to, touch up some paint or add a gutter extension or add a handrail, that's just costing the buyer a little bit more money. So you want the inspector to be your third set of eyes to take a look at that and make sure that we're all good with the FHA, VA, USDA guidelines. But also understand that most of these buyers are first-time home buyers. So the inspector needs to obviously be thorough, take a holistic view, and be informative, but they also need to come alongside you and help support you in your ability to make these buyers feel comfortable. A great inspector educates, maybe says, hey, there's a drippy faucet here, but this is, my suggestion. You can go buy a gasket at Home Depot, watch a YouTube video, fix it, and you're good. That's not something that we need to blow up a deal over. And if your inspector presents it correctly, maybe gives a possible option of, using YouTube and doing it yourself, that will help you continue through the process. Because at the end of the day, if you can't get your offer accepted, or say you can get your offer accepted and the inspector blows up the deal because every ticky-tack thing he or she makes a big deal of, then your buyer will feel less comfortable moving forward, and you might not even get past that inspection. So those business industry partners are absolutely key in the first step to getting your buyers through the process. So I always focus on those. I always ask those questions. How are you with FHA, VA, both from a lending perspective and an inspecting perspective? The next is know the market, educate your buyer on the market. It's very important to understand if we're in the spring market and everything's crazy, they need to understand that they might not get that first house that they fall in love with. They also need to understand what it might take if they don't have any, cash to close, or, they're using down payment assistance. Tell them to save some money. If we could get to a $5,000 appraisal gap, you separate yourself from those other FHA and VA buyers that sometimes are put to the bottom of the stack. So it may take some time. So saving $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month or even $500 a month can help build their case as you continue to fight through the process. So that's super important. Understand the market, understand the multiple bids, understand appraisal gaps, understand inspection language, and all of those things that we're doing right now to get offers accepted. Now, at the end of the day, if they can't come up with an appraisal gap, they can't come up with an appraisal gap. They just need to know what an appraisal gap is, what they might be up against, and see if, maybe they could get a gift if needed, or they can start to save. And by the time it's go time and they're actually, at the end of their lease or anything like that, they can have a little bit of an appraisal gap that may separate them. At the end of the day, they can only do what they can do. And so we have to write contracts in that fashion. However, if we can educate, they understand the market, set their expectations, right? If they think that the first house they fall in love with, they're absolutely gonna get at under ask price, that's not realistic. And then they come back to you and get mad at you or the lender or whatever that may be, because they didn't understand the expectations. Okay, they also need to understand, hey, we might not get it on the first time, but if we go into backup or if we see one come back on the market, that's time to strike, because the seller has a little bit of feeling of insecurity. They're not sure, if they're going to be able to buy that dream home because this contract fell through for XYZ. And if you're there to strike right when that comes back on the market, or you're in a backup position, that's absolutely a way to level up for your FHA, VA, USDA buyers. The next is make a plan, execute a plan, and don't forget the plan. It was really cool the other day to hear one of my buyers on a YouTube video talking with her lender about the process. And several times in there, she talked about how her emotions kind of got ahead of her. And she was like, yeah, let's go, let's do this, let's offer this. And she mentioned, not me by name, but her realtor, who was me, and said, we would get to this point and Jeremy would say, no, like maybe it's not worth going that extra $50,000 over asking, or maybe it's not worth it because it doesn't have these must-haves. The honest truth is, my worst fear is having somebody call me 6 months after they purchase a house and say, oh, it didn't have a garage. For instance, we're in Colorado, maybe at the beginning of the process, they told you they absolutely have to have a garage because they just spent 2 days shoveling off their car. We're buying a house in the spring or summer. Snow's not really in their mindset. And they're like, oh yeah, we could do without a garage. And then come that winter, they're like, we absolutely can't do this. I hate shoveling off my car more than anything in the world. So it's important to make a plan, execute the plan, and then obviously as a professional, remind them of the plan. There is always a house at the end of the tunnel that is perfect for their needs, as long as their expectations are set, realistic, and remembered. So I always like to start with a scouting trip, to really understand what their needs are when they're in the dream phase, not when they're, there. Okay, what do you love about this? What do you hate about this? Because in the time of showing, you may have 15 minutes in the house and you absolutely have to make a decision, send an offer, and go with it. But if you have that scouting trip that I'll link right here, you can understand exactly what they want, maybe remove from those emotions. And if they're removed from the emotions, they can talk and have realistic expectations and portray them to you, so that when you get in the grind and you're ready to go and emotions are high, as a realtor, you can know, okay, here we are. That's a great house, but it doesn't have ABC. Are you sure you're okay with that? And maybe they are at that point. Maybe their expectations have been nullified, or, maybe they absolutely love this house for XYZ, but it doesn't have A. And that's where you can have that conversation. But as long as you remind them, bring it to the forefront, and make sure that it's not just a quick emotional decision. It also allows for them to feel like, oh, I don't have to be in the house for 5 to 10 minutes and make a huge decision, because the process is holistic and takes everything into account. All right, the next thing that I do, and this is kind of my secret sauce, so thanks for staying tuned, is paint a picture for the listing agent of your buyer in that home. And this is interesting because we've had a lot of talk about the love letters that clients were writing, where the seller was able to have some sort of connection to them. Selling a house is also an emotional process. So that worked really well. So a lot of people used it. Well, Fair Housing came in and said, let's not do that. Maybe not have pictures, maybe not, have all this stuff in here that could be, seen if their offer wasn't accepted as discriminatory. So what I like to do is paint a picture of my clients in the house to the listing agent, Obviously, do not, lie or anything like that about their status or their situation. But hey, super qualified agent or super qualified buyers with my preferred lender. They can't wait to, take care of that garden that you saw at that listing. So I also pay attention when I'm in the showings to things in the house that could be common interests. Hey, it's awesome that this house has that outdoor storage, for that recreation stuff, for the rock climbing, the mountain biking, and things of that nature. And if you paint a picture to the listing agent of your buyer in that home, subliminally or intentionally, they will mention that when they're presenting the offer. So it's not going to do everything. You have to still present the strongest offer. At the end of the day, money talks, but sometimes terms talk a little louder than money. But if it's neck and neck and they're like, hey, these people, are a little more outdoors, they're excited about storing their equipment or anything like that, that's not necessarily, hey, these people are this religion or these people have this lifestyle or whatever that may be. If it's more general and you can connect with those common interests, it paints a picture in the listing agent's head of your buyer in that home, and that does help absolutely when you're talking about the process. I've had listing agents say, absolutely fell in love with your clients because of how you presented your offer, and that's pretty cool because that is my intention to make, and my job, to be honest, is to put my best foot forward for my buyer without overstepping fair housing guidelines and things of that nature. But that's absolutely my secret sauce, is making sure that the clients absolutely love the home, finding those common interests just from my observations at the showing, and communicating with the agent. Also, communication with the agent, knowing where the offers may be, how many offers they may have. And as you feel the market, they don't have to tell you the price per se, but if they say, yeah, we have 10 offers, it's probably not going to be list price. And you can kind of feel that out, any terms that your sellers are looking for, and they'll usually talk to you about even what they have or what they're requiring. And so those are great ways to build that relationship, build that rapport, and absolutely paint the picture of your buyer in that home to the listing agent. And finally, with all of the stuff that's going on, raising interest rates, high appreciation, there's so much negativity out there in the world. So absolutely talk positively, not only to your clients, but on social media and things. We still know that home buying is a great investment, far better than renting. You've seen the net worth statistics of renters versus homeowners. And if we stay positive, regardless of what the interest rates are, as you've all heard, your parents' interest rate or your grandparents' interest rate was in the double digits. And right now we're just talking about 5, 6 interest rates. It's not all that different from what it was just a couple years ago. If you look back 3 years, interest rates were almost exactly the same for a short time. If you look back 1 year, there's a huge difference. But over the long haul, and the history shows that the interest rates are still pretty low. I wouldn't say historically low anymore, but our positivity and how we portray that is very informative to our clients, and they pick up on that. If you're out there saying interest rates are so high, houses are so expensive, the cost of living in your city is too much, so on, they will catch on to that, and you will have less buyers and less interested people. Whereas if you say, okay, interest rates are a little up, appreciation is still going, if you bought a house and a year ago, it would have looked a little bit differently, but your interest rate or your rental rate has also gone up 15% this year, or whatever that may be. So let's talk about the long-term picture. Do you want to build wealth and own a home, or do you want to continue to rent, pay someone else's mortgage, build their wealth, and maybe go on that extra vacation or whatever? So if you talk about it from a positive perspective instead of the sky is falling, interest rates are high, affordability is low, no one can buy a house, you will have great success and have much more buyers and much more excited parties. And at the end of the day, if people are excited, they're more fun to work with. So Jeremy Kane, Realtor Playbook. Let me know if you want to book a call and chat strategy anytime. I love helping through this psychological process of helping your buyers and giving you real life implementable strategies to help you win at real estate. Talk to you soon.